good. It's good to go. Okay. Y buenos días. Sí. ¿Cuál es tu pregunta? What's your question?
Whether you use me or yo, because a lot of times, like when you were talking about the answers to some questions, when you said I like ice skating or I remember ice skating, you use me rather than yo.
Okay. Bien. Buena pregunta. Good question. So let's pull up. This is one of those basics that's really good for us to always review a little bit. You know, you hear these words like me, and by the way, there are two me's. One has an accent mark, one doesn't. So that matters. That's actually important. And yo, and I'm going to throw another one in here because these are often confusing for people who are learning Spanish. What's the difference? ¿Cuál es la diferencia? Me con acento with an accent, yo, me. All these little things are pronouns, but they, well, no, they're not all pronouns. Many of them are pronouns. First one is not. Me here is just a possessive. All that means is my. Me with no accent. Now, it can take the form of mis, plural. So this me word goes together with a thing, a noun, and it tells who something belongs to. It tells you it belongs to this person here, the number one person, yeah? So, mi perro, mi perro, mi casa, mis hijos, there's the plural, right? That is the my word. But that meat will sound exactly like the other meat with an accent mark. They sound exactly the same. This me here is okay. Here's how we use this. We use this after prepositions. It is a prepositional pronoun. So you'll hear it like, me. So you hear it like this. A mí me gusta el helado. I like ice cream. This
A mí también.
This a mí is an icing on the cake kind of thing. You don't have to have the a mí me gusta el helado. You could just say this idea as me gusta el helado. I like ice cream. And that would be enough. The a mí just makes it emphatic. Okay. But sometimes you'll hear a me with like this instead of with this me is a prepositional pronoun, meaning it follows a little preposition. All those little words we've been studying for weeks and weeks, a, de, en, para, con, these preposition words. If you've got, if you need a pronoun talking about this person here, me, it has to be that me part. So it could be, you could be an idea like this. Para mí, para mí un refrigerador. Un buen refrigerador es importante. You walk into the shop, you tell the salesman, para mí un buen refrigerador es importante. For me. So this me follows a preposition. If we need, you know, little preposition word talking about the number one person here, it'll be that, me. All right. Yo is what we call a subject pronoun. It means I, but yo has to be used when we are okay. When yo is used when I am the person doing the action. That's why it's a subject pronoun. The subject of a sentence tells who's doing whatever that activity is. All right. And in Spanish, actually, people tend to drop the yo most of the time. So, you know, you can say yo entiendo, I understand. But most people aren't going to say the yo. Most people, the vast majority, are going to say that just as entiendo. Spanish can do that because every verb is conjugated to talk about who is doing that action in a very specific way. In English, we can't just take the word can, or we can't just take the word understand. Let's keep with it, the idea of entender, to understand. Understand alone in a sentence isn't enough in English, because I understand, you understand, they understand, we understand. So in English, we have to use those subject pronouns. In Spanish, they don't have to, because entiendo could become entiendes, you understand. It could become entendemos, we understand. All right. And the verb really tells the story in Spanish. So most people will skip that. You might hear it if somebody is saying somebody, y yo, mi familia y yo vamos al museo. My family and I are going to the museum. If the vamos al museo, we're going to the museum, isn't enough, if you want to include the idea of, oh, it's my family coming along with me, then you'll hear it as mi familia y yo. Okay. But yo often gets dropped. Have I answered your question so far?
Yes.
Okay, bien. These little pronouns can, morph into many things. The last one I'll talk about very briefly is me. And me is also a pronoun. It also relates to talking about myself, but it is used in a couple of ways. It might be used when I do the action to myself, like me siento, I sit, and the idea is I sit myself. My backside down. Yeah. We use the idea of I sit down, and that down paints a picture in your mind in English, right? Well, that is what me does together with that verb. But then the me has to be working with the verb. I can't drop it like the yo. Me is a pronoun that can't get dropped. Yo is a pronoun that is often not voiced, not actually said, often. But me, generally, that's not a kind of pronoun that I can skip the way I can skip yo, right?
Okay.
And also, me, besides the me siento, me also happens as a pronoun that tells that the action is being done to me. Me doesn't say I'm doing the action. The verb says I'm doing the action, siento. But me says that something is being done to me. Okay? Por ejemplo, mi esposo me ayuda. My husband is helping me. And that me is I'm receiving the action of the help. So me has a few jobs in Spanish. That's the nutshell that I hope, answers that question of what's the difference between me, yo, me. Yeah, a lot of things will refer to me in some way, but their function in the sentence may be different.
Thank you.
De nada.
And I do have one more question too.
Okay.
3 of those verbs or so, you have the SE on the end. And I looked that up as a reflective
Yes.
verb.
See, reflexive verbs mean I'm doing the action, but that, okay, or someone is, let me rephrase that. Someone is doing the action, but that person is doing the action to themselves. That is not the sole definition of what a reflexive is, because reflexives have different functions, but that's like the core, the way it's taught, the way to make you understand. So in English, por ejemplo, me lavo las manos. Me lavo. Lavo tells you I'm washing, because lavar means to wash, right? Me lavo means I'm doing it to a part of my body, like me lavo la cara. See? Me lavo las manos, ¿sí? Me lavo los brazos, ¿sí? So any verb that has an SE tucked onto the end of it, like a little caboose on the train, when you look up that verb as an infinitive, if it has an SE on the end, it is a reflexive verb. And that means in order for that verb to work, lavar by itself means to wash. I could be washing my car. I could be washing my clothes, right? I could be washing the windows. I could be washing lots of stuff. But if I'm washing a part of my body, it becomes what they call reflexive. And that means, whereas normally I will just say lavo, now I've got to have, for I'm washing. Now, to say I'm washing a body part on my person, on my own self, I also have to use a me pronoun with that lavo.
But I noticed that verb still gets conjugated.
Yep, that verb will still go through the conjugations you think it should have, whatever the reflexive verb is. But in order to have that reflexive meaning, it must have one of the reflexive pronouns to go with it. And we'll do a little more with those this summer again. Otra vez. The reflexive pronouns are me, te, se, 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 and nos. Also os if you're in Spain for the you guys, the vosotros verb, but we don't use that.
What was the last one again?
Os, os. Okay, I'm going to give you a quick idea of of reflexives. Okay, real quick before we get into the lesson. Just so that you understand what that is about, because that really is a lesson all to itself. But this me siento that you see on the screen is a reflexive, me siento, meaning I am not an usher who is seating people, showing me their ticket in the theater. That's sentar. But sentarse is to sit your own self, your own backside down. Okay, so many, many verbs, and you just have to know which ones they are from hearing lots of examples. Okay, you just have to know that they're reflexive. And reflexive jobs actually get a number, can do a number of things, but the easiest way to explain it, first of all, besides all those other exceptions, which won't follow this rule, are that a reflexive verb it needs a pronoun and the verb. And the pronoun will be in a form that matches, or maybe you want to say corresponds. To the verb form. So they have to, the verb form kind of matches up. And the simplest thing I'm going to use to show you what a reflexive verb is, and what the difference is between it being reflexive and being not reflexive is this. Llamar means to call, right?
Yes.
But when you look it up in a dictionary, if you look it up as llamarse, with a se tagged onto the end, it means to call oneself. I'm going to tell you, nobody in English is going to look and say, I call myself. Nobody does that because, okay, they'd think you're weird because we don't use it that way in English. But that literally is what it means in Spanish. So the difference between llamar, I could call my dog, I could call my husband, I could call up on the phone, I could call Spencer's Appliances on the phone to find out what that refrigerator is about, right? But it's just call. But llamarse means to call oneself. And that is the verb they commonly will use to say my name is. Okay, a literal translation of llamarse is not my name is, but the equivalent in what you mean is my name is, or his name is, or Our names are the Johnsons, you know, whatever that may be. But the difference is llamo will just be used by itself, right? Or llamas, or llama for one person doing it, or llamamos for we are doing it, or llaman for they are calling. And that just means like on the phone or yelling down the street or, you know, just calling, right? But me llamo now means I call myself, my name is, and I have to have the me working with llamo to get to that special meaning of my name is. And the question you learn is, ¿Cómo te llamas? What's your name? ¿Cómo te llamas? To get that idea of your name is, it must have that pronoun working with that verb, which is a tu verb, which is works with the corresponding matchup, meaning the same form of te llamas. Se llama, his name is, or her name is, or you formal, that means usted. Se llama. That's why to a friend, or to kid, somebody your age, ¿Cómo te llamas? Is the friendly way to say, what's your name, right? If you're in a very formal setting, let's say a business setting, you would be, it would be more polite to phrase that in the usted form, which is ¿Cómo se llama usted? They may drop the usted, but ¿Cómo se llama usted? ¿Cómo se llama? Okay. Nos llamamos, bien, y se llaman. And that is the nutshell of reflexives, okay? In generally, they mean that the person doing the action also is on the receiving action. Okay, like me lavo las manos. Me lavo, I'm washing, and I'm washing a part of my body, right? Me llamo, I call myself, and then I give my name. All right. There are other uses for reflexives that don't fit that model real exactly, but as a primer to learn what does that mean, that's what it is. Okay.
I noticed when you did all those conjugations, did you leave out you plural?
I did leave it out because we don't use it on this side of the Atlantic, but if you have any, if you have, yeah, let's clear that out. If you listen to, if you take a vacation in Spain, or if you watch a YouTube, you will hear that vosotros form. The vosotros form is just the plural of tú, and that means it's the friendly you, but plural. It's the you guys, yeah? And normally on this side of the Atlantic, ustedes is the only thing used as you plural. It's the only one. Latin America, Mexico, the Caribbean, they don't use vosotros. They don't use vosotros at all. It's a very dialectal thing to them. They think they actually don't particularly like having to learn vosotros forms because they don't use them ever. Okay, but in Spain, they do use vosotros a lot, a ton. They have vosotros is liberally used when you're talking to your group of friends. Okay, so the vosotros form for reflexives, let's see, 2 examples. For llamarse, it would be os llamáis. For lavarse, it would be os laváis. Okay. But you won't hear that a lot. I will give you one that you will hear quite a lot on the videos if you've got a person from Spain doing videos. Here's a reflexive verb, and it really is not reflexive like lavarse, wash yourself, or llamarse, call oneself, but it is still reflexive. And it just shows that sometimes reflexive verbs, you just have to accept they are used as a reflexive and they have a special meaning. Fijar means to fix something, like to stick it in, and it's going to stick like a like, you know, if you're putting something in the wall to hang up a picture. Yeah. Fijar means to fix something, meaning it's stuck in and it's not going to move. All right. But fijarse means to notice, pay attention. Okay. And it's reflexive. You just have to accept that's the way they use it. So if somebody says, hey, pay attention, guys, or like, hey, check this out, they'll use that as a command, right? And the formal, it would be os fijáis, you notice, but usually this will be given as a command. Fijaos, fijaos, fijaos. If you hear people saying fijaos, it means, hey, heads up, pay attention to this. Okay, and I say that only because you're going to hear people say it. So it's not important that you know how to conjugate it a lot. It's important that when you hear fijaos, it means somebody's saying, pay attention, check this out, look at this, fijaos, pay attention. Okay, that's the only thing you need to know about that word. Fijaos has got the os on the end. Sí.
Well, I get lavarse and lavarme mixed up. I mean, I think that I should use,
Oh, okay.
know,
Lavar me just means I'm attaching the me to the end of the lavar, and I need to keep using lavar as an infinitive. So here's how that happens. Voy a lavarme las manos. I'm going to wash my hands. And the lavar doesn't get conjugated because it's voy a lavarme. I'm going to wash my hands.
that's, when you're talking about yourself, that's what you use me on
Right.
the end of it.
Me lavo las manos. Voy a lavarme las manos. I'm going to wash my hands. The voy a lavarme just says I'm going to do it, meaning I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to. Yeah. But me lavo means I'm doing it right now. Or I do it as a habit. Like, me lavo las manos antes de cortar la fruta. I wash my hands before I cut up the fruit. Yeah. See?
See?
Okay. Okay. ¿Todo bien? All good?
Yeah.
See? Okay. Good to clear up questions, and always feel free to ask those questions. Okay. Yo tengo, I'm emphasizing now. Yo tengo preguntas para ustedes. I've got questions for you guys. Did you have any burning questions or things you did not understand about the listening video? Oops, perdón. I've got to make sure I get rid of my screen there. Let's try this a second time. La segunda vez. Datos de Colombia, facts about Colombia. ¿Alguna pregunta? Do you have any question about what kind of information she gave you?
I do have a comment.
Okay.
She spoke at my rate.
I
had no problem understanding anything. And if there was a word or two I didn't get, I could put it together by the rest of it. So I'm seeing progress in myself.
Bien.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She does a lot of things. This is definitely at a rate that is understandable for beginners. They rate this as a beginner video. I want you to notice one thing she said here.
Bajo tierra.
Bajo
y está
tierra.
hecha completamente de sal.
Bien. Notice that she used a preposition of place to talk about la iglesia. One of the funny facts, she had like 8 funny facts about Colombia, right? And I'll get us to the right part here.
Se llama la catedral
Se llama, its name is, se llama la catedral
de
The
Zipaquirá.
salt.
En este
de
lugar
Sal.
no solo hay una iglesia,
Not only is there a church,
también hay cafeterías,
also there's not just a church, there's also a cafeteria,
museos,
a museum,
tiendas,
stores,
esculturas y muchas otras cosas.
other
Es
stuff.
como una ciudad,
It's like a city,
pero bajo tierra.
pero bajo tierra, but underneath the ground. Under the earth, literally, but underground. It's an underground church, an underground complex. And notice she used the preposition of space, one of these things we've been working on this spring, of bajo tierra, underground.
Did she say what city this was in?
No, she named the actual place, but I don't think she named the city where it's in. I bet I could Google that for you and find out. I will put that in the class notes
The
afterwards.
reason I'm asking is we're going to Colombia for the month of July.
I will for sure look it up and I will put it in the notes. There you go. Qué bien. Qué buena suerte. What good luck. Well, now you've got your 8 funny facts about Colombia, right?
Exactamente.
Sí, los niños beben café. Hay una iglesia bajo la tierra. Hay animales exóticos del tráfico narcante. Sí, yeah. The
Rejas.
narco traffic guy brought a lot of those exotic animals. Sí. Las palmeras más altas del mundo. Y bueno, sí. ¿Qué más? Hay muchas lenguas. Many of the languages she talked about with Colombia wind up being indigenous languages. There are still in many parts of Latin America, and Colombia is one of them, but not the only one. Peru, Ecuador, Chile, lots of places. A lot of the indigenous people who lived there before the Spaniards came and explored have languages. Some of those are really dying out, but some of them still are spoken, and depending on how isolated the area is, they might be spoken quite widely. So, do be aware, of course, as you get to really remote villages in some of these countries, if you ever travel, there might be people who don't speak Spanish because they speak some of the indigenous languages, many, many, many. Bien. Y, la rana más venenosa del mundo, the most venomous, yeah.
Yeah.
In the big cities, you won't have to worry about la ranita, the little froggy. But generally, the more colorful they are, just stay away from them. Don't touch them. They're not going to jump on you and attack you. But, I know people who've taken eco tours, where they actually get in a boat and go down in the Amazonas, down the Amazon River and stuff like that. And you don't want to be messing with the animals. The more brightly colored they are, generally that is one of those warning signs from nature. I am venomous. Okay. Adelante. Let's do some warm up. We're going to do some warm up before we expand. We want to do more practice with verbs that are accompanied by or paired up with little prepositions. So we're going to do some practice with review. We're going to do practice with some of the very first verb review ideas with de and en and a. We're going to do some easy review, okay? these are some examples of typical questions that or typical verbs in typical questions, yes. Typical verbs that pair up with a preposition. And in order for it to sound natural, you need that little preposition paired up with that particular verb. And which preposition it is may change depending on what the verb is. But hablar de is one of those common combos. Hablar de, to talk about. And we won't actually use a literal translation for about if we're using the verb hablar. If we're using the word hablar and you want to say you're talking about, the most commonly used about will be de. Durante una visita familiar, during a family visit. ¿Sí? Durante una visita familiar, ¿de qué hablan tus nietos o de qué hablan tus hijos? Depending on if you have grandkids or kids, right? ¿De qué hablan tus nietos o de qué hablan tus hijos? ¿Cómo se contesta? En mi familia, los hijos, porque no tengo nietos, I have no grandkids, los hijos hablan de las fiestas. Los hijos hablan de la comida. Los hijos hablan de sus amigos. Los hijos hablan de jugar videojuegos. Hablan de jugar videojuegos. They talk about playing video games, ¿sí? Hablan de jugar los videojuegos. Así. En su familia, in your family, ¿sí? En su familia, sus familias. ¿De qué hablan los hijos? ¿O de qué hablan los nietos?
Hablamos de videojuegos. I'm trying to think of the word that means also.
También.
También, of course. So,
También, sí. En mi familia hablamos de videojuegos también. Bueno, and your también means I'm in that boat too. That's
Yeah.
TOO too, right? Ok, fantástico. Gracias. ¿Qué más? ¿Qué más? What else?
Mis hijas hablan de sus hijos y sus trabajos.
Y del trabajo, they talk about work. Sí. Muy lógico, muy bien. ¿De qué hablan los nietos? ¿De qué hablan los hijos? Otra idea. Another idea.
Yo no tengo hijos, pero siempre hablo con amigos y familiares sobre eventos actuales.
Hablan de eventos actuales, current events. ¿Sí? Actual en español no es actual. Actual es current, meaning right now. Eventos actuales. Bien. Excelente. Hablan de eventos actuales. Could you say hablan sobre eventos actuales? Sí, es posible. It's possible. But the most common pairing with hablar is hablar de. Hablar de. Bien. Otra idea. No, ok. ¿En qué calle está la farmacia que usas? On what street? Now, instead of hablar often pairs up with de, but as a review, estar often pairs up with en because we say something is in a place, right? Estar is used, if it's used for location, you may hear it paired up with en, like in this example. ¿En qué calle está la farmacia que usas? La farmacia que uso The pharmacy that I use, que uso, that I use. La farmacia que uso está en la calle Palisades. Está en la calle Palisades.
I have one.
Sí, bien.
Mi farmacia favorita está en la calle Hayden en Costco.
Bien. Ok. Excelente. Sí, está en la farmacia. La farmacia está en, pum. Bien. Perfecto. And in Spain, when they talk about a street, it'll be la calle and then the name of the street, right? La calle Main, because you can't change Main. See, la calle Hayden. Bien, ok. Bueno, so, hablar often pairs up with de. Estar often pairs up with en. It can pair up with some other things too, but it often pairs up with en. Okay, we're talking about like high percentage, high frequency kind of combinations. ¿En qué piensas? What do you think about? ¿En qué piensas? What do you think about? Pensar, when it means think about, will often pair up with en. Because you think
And-
on something en. Yeah, let me think on that a little bit. In English, you might hear think on it. Yeah, but really what people mean is think about it. And about is more frequent in English, but in Spanish, you think on something. ¿En qué piensas antes de decidir comprar un producto caro? Un producto caro, an expensive product. ¿En qué piensas?
You know, never,
I give it a try.
never mind that one.
Okay, sí, Julie.
Antes de decidir comprar un producto caro, pienso en la frecuencia con lo que usaré.
The frequency I will use it. Sí.
Could you reverse? No, never mind.
No, that's okay. Está bien.
So I've got some sentences where I've got so many pronouns, I get confused as to which one I put where, but that one's okay.
Yeah. And a shorter way to say that maybe, pienso en la frecuencia del uso, frequency of use. That'll be a
Ah.
shorter way for you to get at that without having to think about how do I conjugate the word, blah, 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 right?
Yep.
Bien. Pienso en la frecuencia del uso, the frequency of its use. Sí, Cindy.
I have, well, we'll see if this works. Antes de comprar cosas, pienso en el precio, la marca y si realmente lo necesito.
Pienso en el precio. I think about the price. Pienso en la marca. I think about the brand. Pienso si realmente lo uso, if I'll really use it, si realmente lo necesito, if I really need it. Muy lógico, sí, bien, bien. Sí, entonces, Cindy piensa en 3 cosas. She thinks about 3 things. Piensa en 3 cosas.
That's a good idea, especially when you go to Costco or something.
Eso sí, sí lo vamos a usar if we're going to use it, sí. Ok, bueno, hay más ideas. Any other ideas? ¿En qué piensas?
Pienso que artículo menos costoso.
Si el artículo es menos costoso, if it's less costly,
Yeah.
if it's cheaper, sí, es menos costoso. Costoso, sí, costly. Menos costoso, less costly. Bien. Ok. También pienso con un producto caro, pienso en el servicio de la tienda, the service of the store, el servicio que ofrece la tienda. Cuando compro, por ejemplo, un refrigerador, un lavaplatos, una lavadora, a washer, ¿sí? Pienso en el servicio que ofrece la tienda. I think about the service they offer. ¿Sí? Pienso en. I think about. Okay. ¿Hay más
Also,
o no?
necesito revisar mi billetera en busca de dinero.
Necesito
How much money
revisar.
I
I
have.
need to review.
En mi billetera,
Oh, mi billetera, my
wallet.
well,
that means-
wallet. Sí,
Mm,
wallet. Okay.
yeah.
Sí. Bien. Bueno. Okay. Siguiente. ¿En qué mes? In what month? Llega la mayoría de turistas a Arizona. Just like hablar likes to use that preposition de, estar likes to use that preposition en, pensar often likes to use that preposition en. Llegar will always use a to arrive at a place, right? In English, we often express that as you get to a place. We may say arrive, right? Arrive at or get to, but those are the same ideas in English as llegar a, but it's always got to be llegar a. ¿En qué mes llega la mayoría de turistas a Arizona?
En
La
octubre.
mayor,
Sorry,
Oh,
go ahead.
Danita, let's hear
La
from you.
mayor de turistas llegar a Arizona en el mes de octubre.
Octubre, sí, la mayoría llega a Arizona en octubre. Bien,
¿En octubre o en el mes de octubre?
octubre, sí, octubre, un mes, sí, exacto, exacto. Octubre a noviembre, a quizás enero,
Ujú,
depende, ¿no?
sí.
Depende, okay? So, llegar always needs that when we mention the place you get to, right? Llego a la oficina a las 8. I get to the office at 8. Llegamos a casa a las 5. Llegamos a casa a las 5. We get home. Llegamos a casa. We get home a las 5 at 5. Okay. Venir might use a couple of different kinds of pronouns. Venir might use de when you're emphasizing where somebody is coming from. Venir might use a when you're saying what somebody is coming to do. So let's look at venir with de. We're talking about origins if we combine venir to come with de. Okay. ¿De dónde vienen? ¿De dónde vienen los mejores vinos o cervezas que compras?
los mejores vinos que compro vienen de Francia.
Vienen de Francia. Los mejores vinos vienen de Francia. Bien. Ok. Otra idea.
With de or a?
De.
Come from. Sí.
I have one.
Ok, sí.
Mayoría de gentes compran vino. No, yeah, vino in France. Is it France?
Francia?
Oh, Francia. That's right.
Francia. Sí. If you say
Um,
French, it's just francés, but the country is Francia.
Francia. Me Mayoría de gentes compran vino en Francia
De
y
Francia.
cerveza en Alemán.
De Alemania y cerveza
Alemania.
de Alemania. Y la cerveza viene de Alemania. La cerveza viene de, the beer comes from, la cerveza viene de Alemania. Bien. Ok. Vale. Bueno. Here's a,
Cindy, what were you gonna have?
yeah.
If you I ask you a question with that, is it if we say the best beers, so it'd be
Sí, sí.
la cerveza mayor,
Mayor would mean it's older.
older.
Mejor
best.
is better. Mejor.
Mejor.
Sí,
Viene. Okay.
sí. Por ejemplo, aquí muchas cervezas, muchas buenas cervezas vienen de Canadá.
Sí.
¿Sí? Muchas buenas cervezas vienen de Estados Unidos. Hay cervezas artesanales, or artisanal beers, right? The little specialty beers that you get too. Okay. Vale. Let's take an example of venir with a. Venir and a and an infinitive will sound like this. ¿Quién viene a visitarte? Who comes to visit you? And that te tagged on to the end of visitar means you're receiving the visit, right? ¿Quién viene a visitarte en el otoño? Who comes to visit you in the fall? ¿Quién viene a visitarte en el otoño?
Mi hermana viene a visitarme en el otoño.
En el otoño. Bien, bien. ¿Qué más? Algo diferente, something different. ¿Quién viene a visitarte? Who comes to visit you?
Normalmente mis dos hijos vienen a visitarme en otoño.
Excelente, sí. And notice what she did. Mis dos hijos vienen, they come. Okay? Vienen, because there's more than one person who they do it. Vienen a visitarme. Vienen a visitarme. Bien, perfecto.
Venimos.
Okay, sí.
Venimos a visitar a amigos en Los Montañas in Tennessee.
Bien, ok. Bien, ok, excelente, ¿sí? Y fíjense, fíjense, no digo, I do not say, ¿quién viene a visitarte en el verano? Who comes visit you in the summer? Because nobody comes here in the summer. Okay. En el verano, nadie viene a visitarme en el verano. Nobody comes to visit me in the summer. Aquí en Arizona, ¿sí? Hace demasiado calor y nadie viene a visitarme en el verano. Okay. Okay. And let's take a look at a very special word, very special verb that pairs up with de. Dejar is used in a bunch of different ways. Dejar has many meanings in Spanish. Dejar can mean to leave something behind, like you leave behind a tip. It can mean that you leave something behind on purpose or by accident, but when we pair dejar, dejar can also mean to let, to allow, to permit something to happen. But when we pair up dejar with de, and then another infinitive, it means to stop. And it's a good survival term to use, because somebody may tell you to stop doing something, like for your own safety. Stop walking. There's something in there. It's dangerous, right? So often you hear it paired up with an infinitive. And when we pair up the preposition de with dejar, it means to stop. See? ¿Qué aparato? What kind of gadget, device, mechanical thing? Any mechanical thing is often called aparato. Aparato, okay? ¿Qué aparato deja de funcionar en casa recientemente. What kind of gadgets just stopped sometime in your house? La computadora de mi hijo deja de funcionar.
Mi computadora deja de funcionar recientemente porque el
Bien.
por control sobre tensiones murió.
Ah, sí. Bien, bien. Entiendo, sí. Bueno, algo más. Anything else? Otro ejemplo.
Stofa? Is that stove means stove?
Oh, estufa.
Ufa.
Stufa.
Estufa. ¿Cómo se dice the stove is it's stopping?
Burning
Stops.
up.
See, okay.
Ufa.
How do we use this combination that you see on the screen here?
La estufa.
Just plug in your estufa and then that next set of words there.
Estufa deja de funcionar
Perfecto.
en casa
Perfecto.
recientemente.
Perfecto. Bien. Okay. So the point is, it's good to get a handle on and see examples of verbs that might pair up with a specific kind of preposition and to know that dejar might pair up with de if you want to say stop, right? Venir might have two different prepositions, but depends on what you mean, right? Llegar always pairs up with a. Pensar often pairs up with en. Estar often pairs up with en because we say something is in a place if we're using estar for location, right? And hablar often pairs up with de. What little prepositions often pair up? Okay, bien. Let's see if we can fill in some blanks with some ideas to create an idea. Here are some different verbs. These are not as common as estar and pensar, and these, but they're verbs you may hear. To be happy about, right? You can say estoy contenta or estoy contento. You can say that to say I'm happy, but alegrarse, and there's a reflexive for you
Oh,
that you,
yeah.
yeah. So the way you say I'm happy about is make that into, use the yo kind of pronoun, which in this case is me, and put alegrar into a yo form, alegro. Me alegro de, I'm happy about. Me alegro de, I'm happy about.
No cocinar en el Día de las Madres.
Okay. Me alegro de tener el Día de las Madres. I'm happy to have Mother's Day. Sí. Me alegro de celebrar el Día de las Madres. Excelente. Ok. Otra idea.
Me alegro de jugar el pickleball.
Me alegro de jugar al pickleball. I'm happy to play pickleball. Sí, claro. Ok.
Me alegro de estudiar de español.
Me alegro de estudiar español.
Oh,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
happy.
yeah. You get brownie points on that one.
Me alegro de estudiar español. And notice what we're plugging in these examples is an infinitive. I'm happy to do something, right? Me alegro de estar con ustedes. I'm happy to be with you guys. Me alegro de estar con ustedes.
Sí.
Bien, okay, but me alegro de. We have to combine de with alegrar. Me alegro de. Me alegro de.
Del peso.
Me alegro de ir de vacaciones. I'm happy to be going on vacation.
Ah,
Por ejemplo, sí, okay. Me alegro de recibir mi cheque. I'm happy to get my check. See, if you get a check in the mail.
Mhm.
¿Sí? Bien. Ok. Los perros se alegran de. Dogs are happy about doing what?
Cuando hablas con ellos,
Ok. Sí. Bien. ¿Qué más?
Let's see.
Ser alimentados.
Sí. Los perros se alegran de comer. They're happy to eat. ¿Sí? Siempre. Sí. Los
Ah,
perros sí.
los perros se alegran de ver, how do you say, ver usted, to see you.
Oh, de verte. See you.
De
De verlo, to see you, if it's the usted kind of you.
Sí.
Verlo.
de verlo.
Verlo.
Sí, gracias.
Sí.
You could
Okay.
say vejo. You could say los perros se alegran de vejo. Say that.
They're happy to do what? In English, they're
Oh.
happy to.
Oh, they're happy to see me.
De verme.
Verme.
De
Verme.
verme.
Oh, that's
De
right.
verme.
You don't conjugate it.
No, because, okay, let's take a look at
Yeah, I
that.
remember that. I don't somehow.
De ver. They're happy to
Stuck.
see. They're happy to see. Okay. What's the word? Anytime you have an activity, an action word after a preposition like de, it goes back into that infinitive form, right? So I wouldn't say los perros se alegran de ven. I wouldn't conjugate ven.
Okay.
Los perros se alegran de ver. Verte, see you. Vernos, see us. Verlo, see him. Verla, see her. ¿Sí? Los perros se alegran de ver a la familia. Dogs are happy to see their family. ¿Sí?
Not familiar.
De
Okay.
ver a la familia. Así.
Or
Okay.
verme or verse or ver.
Verle, verlo, see him. Verte, see you. Okay.
Okay.
Bien. Okay.
Thanks.
El dependiente. Dependiente is a clerk. Somebody who works behind a desk, right? Somebody who helps you in a store. That's a dependiente. Se alegra de.
It needs an I at the IENT.
I'm sorry, an I.
It is IENTE at the end.
Oh, dependiente. Sí, sí, sí. Perdón. Gracias. Sí. Muchas gracias. Dependiente. Sí, dependiente. Lo escribí mal. I wrote it badly. Sí, el dependiente se alegra de. Por ejemplo, el dependiente se alegra de ayudar
Darme.
al cliente.
El,
You could say, sí, se alegra de ayudarme, helping me.
se
¿Sí?
alegra de lo que compro.
Oh, perdón, otra vez again.
Se alegra de lo que compro. de la
Sí,
compra.
compras, purchases, sí, okay, sí. And we can't use, el dependiente se alegra de que yo compre algo, is happy that I'm buying something. Then it kind of has to go into a harder form. So let's stay away from, we want to stay away from a subjunctive, but they're happy to do something. Okay, just happy to do something. Okay,
cuando la pagan,
otra vez.
cuando la pagan, to get paid, when she gets paid.
Oh, Obtener el sueldo, get her salary, or tener un cheque.
Okay.
¿Sí?
Sí.
Okay. O tomar el pago, take her payment. ¿Sí? Bien. Okay. These were all from that longer video. All these verbs are from that longer video about verbs that pair up with prepositions. And we won't spend a lot of time on this, but we're going to give a nod to this one. Soñar, to dream. In Spanish, you dream, or in English, you dream about. In Spanish, you dream with something, which is kind of cute. Okay, so the preposition that always pairs up with soñar, to dream, is con. Always, okay? Soñar con. Ok, por ejemplo, anoche soñé con una boda de una amiga. Last night I dreamed about a friend's wedding. No sé por qué. Don't know why. Pero soñé con la boda. Soñé con la boda. I dreamed about the wedding. Okay, pero los ejemplos aquí, the easier examples here. Los niños que se graduaron, the kids that graduated, ¿sí? Sueñan con, they are dreaming about.
Son nuevos trabajos.
Okay. There are a lot of things all we're going to name is stuff they're dreaming about. See, the graduates. See, los chicos se graduaron. Sueñan con.
Trabajos bien remunerados.
Okay, bien, sí. Bien. Sueñan
Libertad.
con. Perdón.
Libertad.
La
Libertad.
libertad. Let's think of plug some shorter things in here. Freedom. Sí. Sueña con las vacaciones. They dream about vacation.
A wild and crazy summer.
Sí. Un verano. Sueñan con un verano lleno de aventuras.
Ay, bien. Aventuras.
Los chicos sueñan con un verano lleno de aventuras. A summer full of events, adventures. Sí, sí. Sueñan con trabajar. Sí, para ganar dinero. They dream about, summer work and getting money, all of that. So we're just going to do a couple of examples with soñar con. It's actually not as common as the others, but you should know that soñar con means to dream about. Algún día sueño con. Someday I dream about.
Mis vacaciones.
Mis vacaciones. Perfecto. Algún día sueño con ir a Italia.
Sí.
Algún día sueño con ir a Italia. Algún día.
Tener mucho dinero.
Sí, algún día sueño con tener mucho dinero.
A mí
Así.
también.
A todo el mundo sueña con tener mucho dinero. Sí, así es. So, alegrarse likes to pair up with de. Soñar always pairs up with con. You dream with something in Spanish. That's just what you do. Here's another one which is kind of useful, but it has limited use. When you want to say something smells like. Something smells like. We have to combine a verb, a form of the verb oler, and we're going to talk about that in a second, with a. We have to, in English, you'll say it smells like, but we don't have the word like in Spanish to say that idea. We just use ah. There's the preposition we need.
But
And
cocina,
oler, generally, when you use this verb, you're going to say something smells like, right? This smells like blah, 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 whether that's a good or a bad smell. Immaterial, whether it's a good smell, it's a bad smell. It's right. But the form you're going to say it smells, it's this one word, huele. And notice, oler, O-L-E-R, changes into an H-U-E-L-E. Ah, that is weird, right? Okay. So
It's like la comida de mi abuela.
yeah. Okay. Huela a, smells like. One thing smells like. Usually that's the way we use it, right? This thing smells like something. So let's look at this example. Mi cocina huele a.
Chocolate.
My kitchen smells like
chocolate,
chocolate?
chocolate.
Chocolate. If you made a hot chocolate, right? If you made any kind of a pastry, yeah, with that, huele a chocolate. ¿Sí? Mi cocina huele a, mi cocina huele a ajo.
Me, I was going to say that exactly.
Yeah, my kitchen smells like
smells of
ajo, garlic. ¿Sí? Mi cocina huele a
Pescado?
Ajo.
pescado,
Yeah.
fish. There's something that often happens in our kitchens, right? See?
Yeah.
Mi cocina, my kitchen huele a pescado. You see where we're going with this. We're not saying I smell like, or you smell like. We're saying this place, this thing smells like something, right? Huele a. Starbucks huele a
Café.
café. That's the only thing you can say about Starbucks. Starbucks huele a café. It smells like coffee. Así es. La entrada en el supermercado huele a. When you walk in the supermarket, it smells like.
Vegetales.
Otra vez, Cindy, perdón.
Vegetales.
Vegetales. Sí, vegetales, huele a fruta, huele a vegetales, sí, wow, yeah. If it doesn't smell like that, you should probably walk out. Okay, la entrada en el supermercado, ¿eh? Desinfectante, sí, disinfectant, quizás, maybe, but maybe not. Okay. Olvidarse de, to forget about something. Yeah. See?
El cumpleaños de mi hermano.
Nunca me olvido de mi hermano.
Sí, de el cumpleaños de mi hermano.
Del cumpleaños de mi hermano. Sí, nunca me olvido del cumpleaños de mi hermano. My brother's birthday. Nunca me olvido del cumpleaños de mi hermano. Sí, bien. Nunca me olvido de. De cepillarme los dientes. Nunca me olvido de cepillarme los dientes, ¿verdad? De cepillarme, brush, and I'm brushing myself, so it's reflexive, de cepillarme los dientes. Nunca me olvido de
Tomar mi medicina.
tomar, bien, sí, de tomar mi medicina, mis medicamentos, my medicines, ¿sí? Prescriptions, medicamentos. You may hear that as medicamentos, but it may be medicina. Sí, bien. Nunca me olvido de. Nunca me olvido de tomar mi celular. I never forget to take my.
Cell phone.
Sí, eso es. Bien. Okay. Vale. And let's look at, instead of a nunca, never, let's look at an always, siempre. Mi pareja, my partner, my husband, my wife, if you're a guy, okay, whatever. Sí, mi pareja siempre se olvida de
Sacar la basura.
sacar la basura. Take out the trash. Sí entiendo. Mi pareja siempre se olvida de lavar los platos. Mi pareja siempre se olvida de. Sí, no. Ok. Los niños se olvidan. Missing an I here. Olvidan de. Got an I where it shouldn't be. Olvidan de. Los niños se olvidan de. Kids forget to.
In their rooms.
Camas.
Okay, let's get that idea. ¿Cómo se dice clean their rooms? ¿Cómo se dice
Limpiar.
clean?
Habitaciones. Limpiar.
Limpiar sus cuartos. Or you might express that as de organizar sus cuartos. Tidying up, organizar, ¿sí? Bien. Los niños se olvidan de.
Could you say capillarse los dientes?
De cepillar, sí, se olvidan de cepillarse. Los dientes. They forget to brush their teeth.
Yeah.
Se olvidan de cepillarse los dientes. Se olvidan de cepillarse los dientes. Sí. Ok. Los niños se olvidan de. Se olvidan de hacer la tarea.
Oh,
They forget to do their
homework.
homework. Sí, los niños se olvidan de. Sí. So just like just like other verbs will often use a particular preposition. This particular verb uses this particular preposition de. Olvidarse de. Sí, Cindy, tienes pregunta.
Quick question, when we say, de hacer la tarea, if you wanted to say their homework,
Oh,
they
sí.
get to do their homework, how would you do that? With what?
Su tarea.
Sutre,
Su
rather
tarea.
than la, yeah.
And there, even though it's talking about belonging to the kids,
Mhm.
a lot of people, is still singular because it's looking at this word.
Okay,
Tarea, singular, right? If you were using the word tarea to say chores instead of homework, because we can use that word tarea to talk about jobs that you have to do that are disagreeable, yeah? You can make that word tarea plural, tareas, and then it would mean like things you have to do around the house, sus tareas. But the their word, su, has to look at the word tarea, the noun it's talking about.
okay,
So
Gracias.
it could not be sus tarea, right?
Mhm.
because tarea is only a singular kind of noun, so it's got to stay su tarea.
Sí, gracias.
So if it
Buena,
was
sí.
chores, if it was chores plural, would have a S on the end of tarea.
If you had tareas, an S on the end of tareas, it would become sus tareas. Sus tareas, right. Okay. And that happens because this possessive word su can mean his, can mean her, can mean their, can even mean the formal your, right? That word su always looks at the thing it's talking about, right? Not the person, but the thing it's talking about. So if it's talking about the homework, it's a singular thing, it would be tarea. If they had a car, their car, right? Like we say this all the time. They went to their car, right? Su carro, su carro. It would not be sus carro. Carro is only one car. So even though it belongs to a bunch of people, it's that their car, the word their looks at the word car. And if car is singular, that word for there is going to be singular. Su carro, su tarea, su casa, their house. See? Su perro, their dog. They only have one dog, so the their word has to be a singular their word. See? Now, this is a thing that's hard for us in English because there your brain is thinking about multiple there, like a bunch of people own it, but the Spanish word for a possessive looks at the thing that is owned. It looks at the thing that is owned, and it will go into a form that matches up with that thing, that item that is owned. So if it's a house, su casa, their house.
So if it was dogs plural, it would be sus perros.
Sus perros, right.
Okay.
Sus perros can mean his dogs. Sus perros can mean her dogs. Sus perros can mean their dogs. See, they can even mean be the formal your dogs, right? But sus perros, sus is plural because it looks at perros. If there are multiple doggies walking on those leashes, right? Perros determines what you do with that word su in front of it. Perros, sus perros, right? Perro, one dog, su perro.
Yeah.
Así, like that. Sí.
Mis perros.
Mis perros, right. Even though my dog, it's only one person, but it goes in that plural mis if I have more than one dog, right?
Yeah.
Mis perros, mis
perros,
llaves,
sí.
my keys. Sí.
Exactly.
Bien. Okay. Buenas preguntas. Good questions. Bien. Okay. So those are a whole bunch of verbs that will match up. It's a good idea to get used to verbs that match up with a particular kind of a preposition. See? I'm going to show you a few other ones here. I don't think we're going to have time to practice all of them, but I just want to kind of point a few of them out. I know we had some questions with them, but probably won't have time to do justice to all of those. Oh, perdón, where? ¿Dónde? Oh, no, wait, that was the end of our list. We're fine, right? What I do want to show you kind of in the big picture is keep this little file because look, we had ¿cuántos? Hoy, 19. We had a whole bunch of slides associated with this. So do know, I would say always know that estar is going to match up with en. What are the highlights? What are the most important, the most basic? Know that hablar is going to frequently match up with De, or if you talk about people, maybe with con to say talk with somebody. But if you mean talk about, it'll be de. Pensar en, right? Llegar a, that's an essential. Venir might be a or de, and it depends on if you're talking about like destination or what you're coming to do, right? Dejar de, ayudar a is a big one. You help somebody to do something, see? And actually, I would say this is a really, really key one too. Saber de, if you want to say you know about, right? And the reason is when we try to conjugate, or excuse me, when we try to translate from English into Spanish, often we look up words in isolation. So, por ejemplo, you want to say, oh, I don't know anything about that, right? We think, oh, I've got to look up how, ¿cómo se dice about? How do you say about? But if you look up just that one in isolation definition in a dictionary for about, it won't be the right idea to go with that verb, saber. So the point is, we cannot take words like about or on or at in isolation. We have to look at what verb we're using them with. And if you want to say that you know about something, right? You really need to combine saber with that little preposition de. Saber de. No sé nada de, I don't know anything about. Sé mucho de, I know a lot about, but saber de. And some verbs are a bigger deal. So the ones that we kicked off a few lessons back that we kicked off this lesson with, this sequence with, are really kind of these verbs here. Saber and, llegar a, pensar en, hablar de, or maybe con, estar en. You know, just keep in mind, some verbs you have to just get used to what kind of preposition pairs up naturally with that verb. Okay, ¿está bien?
Está bien.
Okay.
Está-
Perfecto. Perfecto.
So I have a question, Marilyn.
Sí, sí, dime.
This is our last class.
This is the last class for spring. Sí.
Will we be able to go back to some of the former classes and look at those same videos?
Oh, sí. Yeah, those are all up. Those are up. So if you want to revisit something, look at that little category and it'll list the date. You'll be able to find it real easily. Sí. I leave that all up.
Thank
I don't
you.
erase that. Okay. Bien. Okay. A ver, let's do a quick round here. Let's see what we can do with these. Saber de. Wow. We're going to do some narration of the action, tell what's going on. And we're going to use some ideas with saber de. Voy a engrandecer un poquito más. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Y tenemos fotos de una chica cantando y tocando la guitarra. Un chico con audífonos aquí y un micrófono. Y una profesora, ¿sí? Saber de. Let's see if we can, and I've got some possible verbs we're using with that. Saber, saber de, or even saber de memoria, to memorize, yeah?
Okay.
And we're going to see if we can combine them with these kinds of verbs. Tocar means to play an instrument. Grabar means to record something. Cantar, obvio, sí. Y escuchar, listen, sí. Okay. Can we talk about, let's leave out the future part. Just using saber in present tense. What might we say about this girl? She
Ella
knows about something or she knows how
sabe.
to. ¿Sí?
Ella sabe la guitarra.
Sabe, okay, she knows the guitar.
Oh, toca.
If she knows about the guitar, she knows a lot about guitar.
Yeah.
That's a good
Okay.
idea. We're going to have to combine it with de. Ella sabe mucho. She
sabe
knows a lot
de-
about.
eh,
Ella sabe mucho.
mucho de la guitarra.
Exacto. Bien. Ella sabe mucho de la guitarra. I can say she knows how to play by ella sabe tocar. Sabe tocar. If she knows how to, it's just sabe with the infinitive. Sabe tocar la guitarra. Bien.
Okay.
¿Cómo se dice? She knows a lot about music.
Ella sabe mucho música,
De la música.
de la música.
Ella sabe mucho de la música. She knows a lot about music. ¿Sí? Okay. Bien. She knows how to sing.
Ella sabe de cantar.
Sabe cantar. Sabe cantar. She knows how to sing. The how to, we don't have the de, but sabe cantar. Sabe cantar. Yeah. Know how to is just saber with the infinitive. Sabe cantar. Sabe tocar la guitarra. Pero sabe de la guitarra. She knows about the guitar. She knows a lot about. Bien, sí. Okay. Entienden la diferencia, ¿sí? Ok. Bueno, el chico aquí con los audífonos. El chico con los audífonos, what could we say about him? He knows how to do which one of these things? What's his job?
Escuchar.
Saber,
Escuchar.
Okay. If he's recording, right?
or he's mixing.
Or he's mixing, yeah. So grabar works for that. Yeah, that mixing idea, Donita, that works
Saber
with grabar.
grabar la música.
Exacto, exacto. Él sabe grabar la música. He knows how to record. Él sabe grabar la música. If I would say he knows a lot about technology, because he records, right? Tecnología. He knows
Sabe,
a lot about is this one.
sabe
Él
de,
Saber de.
sabe de,
sabe mucho de
mucho de. Música.
Técnico.
la tecnología, ¿sí? Él sabe mucho de la tecnología. Sabe mucho de la tecnología.
Mucho. Mucho comes between sabe and
Sabe
de.
mucho, he knows a lot,
Sabe
right?
mucho. Yeah.
Okay. I could say about her, she knows nothing about the technology. Ella no sabe nada de la tecnología. Sabe mucho de la música. She knows a lot about music. Sabe mucho de la música. No sabe nada de la tecnología.
Sí, yo entiendo. Sí.
Okay, bien. Y what do you need to know de memoria? Out of this list. Sí, por ejemplo, sí, verbos, de memoria. If you know something by heart, you know it by memory.
Sorry.
Sí, la maestra sabe de memoria. She knows by heart what?
La música.
La música, o aquí, según la foto, according to the picture,
Los verbos.
Infinitives.
según la foto, according to the picture, she doesn't know a whole lot about music, this lady.
Oh.
Verbos, ¿sí? De los verbos, ¿sí?
Sí. Ujú.
Entonces, la maestra sabe de memoria,
Sí,
she's got to memorize los verbos.
los
Los
verbos.
verbos.
Sabe de memoria los verbos. Sabe de memoria las formas de los verbos. ¿Sí?
Sí.
Sabe de memoria. ¿Bien?
La memoria.
¿Sabe de memoria los verbos solamente?
Ah, no. Ella sabe de memoria mucho vocabulario.
Mucho.
¿Ok? Por
Sí.
ejemplo. For example. ¿Sí? ¿Bien?
Mhm.
And we're up to our 11 o'clock hour. So I'm going to have people who need to leave to go do stuff today. See? We'll maybe come back and finish up some of those ideas for start of summer a little bit. Bien, just for some examples. Yeah. Algunos ejemplos. Because we've got a few weeks off, I am going to leave you with some listening comprehension. I'm going to try to leave you with 2 videos to watch since we've got quite a bit of time off. One you're going to notice is going to be very slow. For me, it's almost painfully too slow, but it will be super easy for you to understand. And it's kind of cute because it does narrate a story. So it'll be actually somebody who makes a lot of videos, and usually she makes them at a much higher level and a much faster pace. And she did a brand new video this last week that is a nice, super, a super slow pace, which will be easy to follow. And then we'll get well, actually, there'll be 2 entertaining story videos. Sí, bien?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bien?
Yeah.
Perfecto.
Okay.
And when is our first class?
First class is, qué buena pregunta. No sé de memoria la fecha. I don't know by memory what the date is. I didn't memorize it. Vamos a ver. Creo que es el 3 de junio. I think it is June 3rd.
So I won't be taking your next class. I'm going to go through that book that you talked about. I need some more basics.
Okay, bien. That's good.
Yeah.
And especially you may want to like have a little running list of like topics that you want me to work on and make sure like email them to me or you can check them out in our time off and hit me with it on first day back. Lo que sea, whatever it may be, that's okay. And
I don't think I'll be in that class because we'll be on a cruise,
you, okay, bien, yeah.
but I'll try.
Yeah.
Good.
Es difícil cuando estás de crucero, when you're on a cruise. Ay,
Sí.
you're there to enjoy. You're not there to be in class. Hey, I'm sorry.
Me
You gotta draw the line somewhere. Okay. Yeah, we basically got we have 2 weeks off. We have 2 weeks off
Dos
here.
semanas
Really?
libre.
Yeah, 2 semanas, 2 weeks. Oh, yay. I get to go to get my
Ah.
car fixed, buy a refrigerator, and go to the dentist in these next 2 weeks.
And you
Oh.
want us all to meet you there at what time?
Yeah. Okay. Muy bien, muy bien. So, we're all good to go, and I'll have you can like kind of parcel off the 2 videos, one week, one the next. See, bien, and make a little list of any topics of things you want to review or practice more as we start the summer session.
And
Todo bien?
Cindy, when you come back, you're going to have to give us a lesson, Colombia, huh?
Oh, sí, de
En
Colombia.
español, en español.
En
Ay,
español. Sí. ¿A qué ciudad? ¿Vas a Bogotá?
No, Medellín.
Oh,
Medellín?
Medellín, sí.
Ah,
Ujú.
Ok, perfecto.
Yo tengo un amigo que vive allí.
En Medellín. Tienes
Sí,
un amigo
ah.
que vive en Medellín. Uy, qué interesante.
sí,
Y vas a explorar
sí.
áreas fuera de Medellín.
Mhm. We're going to try and do everything. I've never been before to spend any amount of time, so we'll go out every day. Todos los
Bien.
días.
Well, and you will pick up lots of little colombianismos, little snippets of things that they use in Colombia. I think you will find when you order coffees and such that you will hear them use regalar quite a lot for
Regular.
purchasing drinks. And
Regalo means with.
regalar which means to give a gift. Sometimes when people order drinks in Colombia, this is what I've heard from the YouTubers from Colombia who live there, that often, me regalas un café, would you give me a coffee? Is a common thing, which sounds weird because why would you give coffee as a gift? And I mean, if you're ordering coffee and you're going to pay, would you frame that as a gift? I would not. I would not. So I want to know, Cindy, if that is true, because
I
I
will
had
find out.
two people who absolutely swore up and down that en Colombia se dice, me regalas un café. Would you get me a coffee when you order it? And I
And
was
the
like,
book answer,
wow,
don't pay.
I would never use regalar, give a
No,
gift for, would you get me a coffee, please, when you walk
Well,
into a shop?
we'll try to leave without paying and see what happens.
I would not
It's
recommend
a
that.
gift.
I was thinking maybe it meant regular instead of decaffeinated.
Oh, no,
Or-
no.
Reg-
Regalar, yeah.
Regalar.
Regular is regular, yeah.
Regular here means with cream and sugar.
Oh, yeah.
Sí. Pues sí, pero depende. Yeah, but yeah, I would be interested to get feedback from you, Cindy, on that.
You live
Do
and
people
learn,
order
yeah.
a coffee with me regalas un café?
Sí.
Because
A mí
they
me
swore
gusta
up and
café.
down, and I was like, wow, that sounds really off to me. You wouldn't do that in Spain. You wouldn't do that in Mexico. You wouldn't use regalar with ordering a coffee.
I'll find out.
Yeah, you might ask me das, would you get me? Which makes more sense because that is give. And if you're walking up to a shop and ordering a hot one, then yeah, me das un café. Would you get me a coffee? That makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay. Bien. Gracias. Y buen viaje, Cindy. Buen viaje.
Gracias. I'll see you between the 8th of June and the 25th of June. I'll be here
Okay.
for 2 weeks and gone.
Okay.
Sí, está bien.
Vale. Bien, perfecto.
Gracias.
Oh,
Ok.
oh.
Excelente. Bueno, nos vemos, sí. Entonces, muchísimas gracias. Gracias a ustedes. Gracias por participar. Thank you for participating. Bien.
Muchas gracias.
Sí. A mí me
Nada.
Excelente. Nos vemos.